channel to see more videos like this. Now make sure all your lights are on because we are about to reveal 10 haunted dolls caught on camera. Pig-tailed friend. Have you ever had a strange feeling someone or something is watching you? The hair stands up on the back of your neck and you aren't sure why? Well, one little girl complained to her father that not only was she being watched, but she thought someone was messing with her. Of course, it's not uncommon for children to let their imaginations get the best of them. So to calm her fears and realize what his daughter might be experiencing, her father installed some nanny cams in their home. What happened next shocked him completely and confirmed the little girl's worst nightmares. In a video released online, the nanny cam recorded video of the daughter playing alone with some baby dolls. All is well for a few minutes, then something eerie happens. There was another doll sitting across the room from the girl, and when she's not looking, the doll's head starts to move back and forth. The girl had no idea. Not only that, but a few days later, another cam records the little girl playing in her living room. Again, all is fine until all of a sudden, papers start flying. A remote smashes to the ground and breaks, and the table slides across the floor. That is enough to give adults months worth of therapy, let alone a child. We hope they threw that devil doll out the window.
Hey guys, we are so excited to announce we are producing our own original content. Head over to The Trendy for the best DIYs, fashion tips, makeup hacks, and so much more. We are sure you're going to love it, and be sure to let us know what you think in the comment section. We love to hear from you. See you there.
Wedding scratcher. When it comes to purchases from secondhand stores, some things should never make it to your shopping cart, like creepy-looking China dolls for starters. Sadly, one British woman learned the hard way that just because something looks valuable doesn't mean it always is. While shopping at thrift stores, Debbie Merrick spotted 3 China dolls she thought looked interesting. Considering they were less than $10 each, she decided to buy them. She thought for sure they would be worth more money eventually, but when she brought the dolls home, strange things started to happen. Her husband, a firm paranormal denier, woke up to tiny scratches all over his legs. Not only that, but Debbie was convinced one of the dolls was setting off the smoke detector throughout the night. The toy in question would also move around the house when everyone was asleep. Debbie was so scared of the doll that she ended up moving it into a box in her shed, where she claims it removed its necklace and moved positions on its own. But the most terrifying thing to happen was when Debbie's story went viral. She appeared on a British morning show with the doll. Then, for no apparent reason, the chair the doll was sitting on started rocking back and forth on live television. Needless to say, Debbie is working on getting rid of the possessed toy, and it can be all yours for the right price. Letta me out. If you are lurking around haunted houses, then you are for sure going to find some creepy things. That is exactly what happened when Kerry Walton decided to conquer a childhood fear. He always had been afraid of a particular abandoned house in his hometown. So, wanting to face his fears, he crawled under the house to investigate. What he didn't expect to find was this eerie face staring back at him. Already freaked out enough for the night, Kerry grabbed the doll and left. That was over 4 decades ago. Kerry's kids are convinced the doll is haunted. They have woken up in the middle of the night claiming the doll was moving and talking to them. The owner of the doll claims that dogs can't get anywhere near it. They try to attack the toy and are just uneasy in its presence. Wanting a little more info on the doll, Kerry brought it to an antique store. They claim that the way it was made meant it was at least 200 years old and came from Eastern Europe. The hair was found to be actual human hair, and there is even some sort of brain inside the doll's head. A psychic claims that the spirit of a 6-year-old boy who drowned is stuck in the toy, all of which is enough to make us never want to be anywhere near this creepy thing. No batteries necessary. We aren't sure what is going down in Peru, but there have been more than a few stories of haunted dolls coming from the South American country. This next scary toy caught on camera is disturbing because it needs batteries to operate. But for some reason, this doll is able to blink, talk, and move its head without any power supply. In the video, we see the doll sitting on a bench surrounded by fascinated bystanders. Then, all of a sudden, the toy starts blinking and moving its head. It's obvious that no one is making this happen. Even the guy behind the bench has his hands in his pockets. In another clip, a woman is holding the doll and inspecting its battery pack, showing that it's completely empty. To the amazement of everyone, the doll continues to blink and speak while in her hands. Why is she still holding it? We aren't sure if she's just in shock or utterly confused, but we would have had a much different reaction. How these people didn't toss the doll into a nearby dumpster and light it on fire is beyond us. We wouldn't have even stuck around long enough to see what happened after it started blinking on its own while sitting on the bench. This just goes to show that Peruvians may be too used to paranormal dolls. All choked up. If we heard a story of a doll trying to choke its owner, there is no way we would allow said doll in our home. Strangely, that didn't stop paranormal investigator Jane Harris from allowing a suspected violent doll to stay with her. Wanting to see what the deal was with the creepy toy, Jane set up a night cam to record the doll every night for 3 months, and the possessed little man didn't disappoint. When she brought the doll home, Jane decided to keep it in a completely sealed glass box. Then, one night, while inside its box, the doll's cross began to move. A video captured the eerie sight until the doll fell completely over, tapping the glass with a loud thud. Considering the box has no doors, it would be pretty impossible for the cross to fall over on its own. There isn't even a way for a breeze to penetrate the walls, so it's safe to say something out of this world was responsible for the movement. The doll's previous owner inherited it after his father passed away, and claims paranormal activity started happening once he brought it home, even insisting one time the spirit from the toy choked him in his sleep. But once Jane took the doll away, he was finally able to get a restful night's sleep. Sadly, he's still so traumatized that he can't even bring himself to watch Jane's video evidence confirming his claims. And honestly, we don't blame him. Anne. In 2016, Destination America and the website TheLineup.com joined forces to promote a new show. The show centered around a guy who seeks out objects he believes are possessed by paranormal entities. So what was their brilliant marketing strategy? Why, nothing other than live streaming a haunted doll named Anne for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anne actually has a pretty frightening backstory, and we are going to share it with you so you can join in on the nightmarish fun. Thanks to a diary left behind from Anne's original caretaker, the paranormal investigating group that brought the doll were able to share her story with the world. According to the diary, Anne was a little girl who was treated for tuberculosis in Waverly Hills Sanatorium in the early 1900s. Sadly, she passed away at the age of 13. The teen was looked after by a nurse named Lois. The nurse believed that the children who passed away under her care would follow her home, hoping to continue their treatment. Lois started a doll collection to house all the lost souls of the children who had passed. She kept a diary explaining who each doll was. The paranormal investigators claimed there are dips in temperature every time Anne is around, and that a single tear has been seen rolling down her cheek. Is anyone else slightly terrified? Haunted Harold. Just the images of this next doll are enough to give us an uneasy feeling, but when you hear Harold the Haunted Doll story, it may make your hair stand on end. This spooky little story is thought to harbor the souls of 5 entities: one man named Harold, 2 of his nieces, one unidentified younger man, and a possible dark spirit. The dark spirit isn't actually inside the doll. It claims to be the owner of it. Harold was put up for auction on eBay in 2004. His present caretaker won the bid, and almost immediately the seller tried to warn him and even give his money back. The new owner, Anthony Quinata, was having none of it. The whole reason he wanted the doll was to include him in his book dealing with haunted items he bought online. The first few nights Anthony had Harold, not much happened. But when he brought him to a friend's house to dig deeper, they were able to record some disturbing audio presumably coming from the doll. Since then, Harold has made quite the name for himself in the haunted doll world. He was even featured on a Travel Channel show where one of the hosts believed the doll gave him 3 bruises. Viewers of the show claim to have had anything from splitting headaches to paralyzing nightmares just looking at the doll. And we are finding it hard to keep looking at him, so let's move on to the next entry already. Feeling sick. Just when you thought we were done showing you dolls that could make you ill, we have one more that might be even worse than Harold. While you might think this doll would look something like this, it actually has a much friendlier face. And just a warning, if you believe you may get sick, you might want to cover your eyes. This sweet-looking toy is named Peggy. Its owner, Jane Harris, who appeared earlier in this video, claims Peggy is possessed. Jane actually runs a business called Haunted Dolls, which offers medium and advice services. Peggy's original owner sent the doll to Jane, convinced it was responsible for some terrifying nightmares. The owner claimed she'd wake up hot and scared, and it didn't matter where the doll was in her house. She even called over some priests to help sort the situation out, but there were no changes. The owner then started to fall ill with a fever and hallucinations. That was the final straw, which led her to send the doll away to the professionals. Since being in Jane's possession, she has received several emails from people who have had negative experiences just looking at the doll in photos or videos online. They range in feelings of uneasiness to one woman claiming her computer froze on a picture of the toy and the room went cold. And we are going to stop it there because it only gets worse. Okay, it's safe to uncover your eyes. Don't worry, we are totally freaked out too. The original. When it comes to haunted dolls, the story of Annabelle might be the most famous. So much so that Hollywood got their hands on it and decided to bring the story to life. This is what she looks like in the movies. Pretty scary, right? Well, this is what the real Annabelle looks like. She may not seem that alarming, but the stories surrounding her are. Back in the 1970s, the doll was picked up from a second-hand store by a woman who gave it to her daughter. Almost immediately, the doll would start moving around on its own, but the daughter found ways to rationalize it. It wasn't until things escalated to the point that one of her daughter's friends claimed the doll choked him. They quickly called for help, and Ed and Lorraine Warren were brought in. The couple were specialists in this area. They were convinced that a dark spirit was tied to the doll. Another psychic had told the owner that the apartment complex she lived in was built on the burial plot of a little girl who attached herself to the doll. But this wasn't the same spirit the Warrens felt. They brought the toy back to their occult museum, but not without a fight. The couple claimed they had to stop several times to throw holy water on the doll because she kept making their brakes stop working. Annabelle now sits in a glass box at the Warrens Museum, and if you ever visit her, you may want to think twice before making fun of Annabelle. She is known to lash out at those who speak poorly of her. Victoria. If pictures like this are to be believed, we would think that every doll from the Victorian area was haunted. Seriously, look at that thing. It probably doesn't help that the little girl looks less than thrilled to be in the photo. While this isn't a picture of the next doll on our list, it is equally as frightening. While preparing for an investigation, the paranormal investigators from the UK were practicing with a live broadcast of a haunted house. The men were meant to go back on Halloween for the real deal, but while they were filming their practice run, they had a creepy encounter with a dark force. In one of the bedrooms, there was a doll named Victoria, which was kept in a container with a warning. The warning told viewers they could look at Victoria, but they should never open the container. The investigators thought it was all for show, so after checking out the doll, they moved to the next room. But when they came back, Victoria's case had fallen over, her lid fell off, and she was bent out of shape. That was enough to send the investigators reeling. They were convinced a spirit was trying to warn them not to come back to their Halloween adventure. Was it a spirit or just coincidence? You be the judge. All right, that's the end of our list. Sorry if you have trouble falling asleep tonight. Thanks for tuning in. We hope we didn't scare you too much. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up.